One of the most asked questions that I get that just keeps popping up everywhere, YouTube comments, Instagram messages, like even friends in real life, is, Samuel, what size iPad Pro do you use? What size do you recommend to students for note-taking? Essentially, does size matter? And I've been asked that question so much that I've decided to make a really short video where I answer the question quickly, concisely, but thoroughly, just get it out of the way, and then never talk about it ever again. Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Samuel. For those of you who don't know, I'm a university student, and I'm just going to go straight to the topic of today's video. What size iPad Pro do I use, and what size do I recommend for note-taking? So for those of you who don't know, I use the 12.9 inch iPad Pro, so that's the largest size. So I've basically been using this every single day for the past 2 years. And if you follow my channel, you know that I use it for plenty of things, from note-taking to annotating slides, annotating PDFs, drawing diagrams, drawing on top of my videos, as some of you have seen in the past, and it's been great. However, just because I use the 12.9 inch iPad Pro, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the perfect size for you. You see, at the end of last year and into the beginning of this year, I actually tried out the 11 inch iPad Pro for a couple of months. And some of you actually noticed because I used it in one of my videos. For those of you wondering, this actually isn't my iPad, it belongs to my younger sister. So I'm sort of, borrowing it or stealing it from her at the moment. So although one iPad Pro is 12.9 inches and the other one's 11 inches, and literally the difference is only 1.9 inches, if you actually tried using both these devices in basically everyday use, you'll start to realize that they're actually very different experiences. And they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. And essentially, when you pick a size, you're making a choice between extreme portability, which the 11 inch has, and a larger screen, which the 12.9 inch has. Because at the end of the day, you can't have it both ways. You can't have the best of both worlds. You gotta choose, you gotta compromise, you gotta make a sacrifice with either one of them. And I guess it comes down to making the sacrifice that suits the way you do things, or your workflow, as some people like to call it. Because you see, they basically run the same software. They have the same apps, the same writing experience, but you'll be surprised how much the hardware actually impacts that. And so I'm gonna quickly go through those two factors I mentioned earlier, portability and screen size. So starting with portability, as I said earlier, I've been using the 12.9 inch, the largest screen iPad, for like the past 2 years. And honestly, I thought that was pretty portable. I found it a lot more convenient to carry around to class, public transport, etc. when compared to like a traditional laptop. But when I started using the 11 inch, I realized I'd completely forgotten how portable like iPads normally are. That's not to say the 12.9 is not portable, it really is, but the 11 inch is another level of portable. And what I mean by that is you can actually use this with one hand. Looking back at it now, whenever I used the 12.9 inch iPad, I was always sitting down at a desk. Now, whether I was typing, or whether I was writing notes on it, I was at a park table, I was at my desk at home, or I was at my laboratory bench at university, but the iPad always stayed still on the surface. And that's honestly because, the 12.9 inches is just simply a little too big to be walking around and using with one hand. But you see, the portability I had in the 11 inch sort of pushed me to start using the iPad like an actual tablet again. So for example, when I was in a pathology lab one day, normally in the past, I would have got my friends to take images of the specimens with their phones and then send those images to me. But since the 11 inch was so portable, like there was no issue in using its own camera to take the images. And looking at it right now, like if you're the sort of person who does like a lot of practical work, which involves standing up, walking around, taking images of specimens, diagrams, and you just want like a companion electronic notebook-like device, and you want the iPad to accompany you wherever you're going, and you want to be able to use it while standing up with one hand and writing on it at the same time, the 11 inch is perfect for you. If you're the sort of person who already is carrying around a laptop wherever you go, and you want the option of having a tablet that you can use when you want to use it, the 11 inch basically adds no weight to whatever you're carrying already. It just feels like adding a tiny little book in your backpack. I can generally say that having a very small, understated portable body as opposed to the very extravagant, attention-grabbing 12.9-inch design sort of made me feel a lot more comfortable to like open it up in a cafe or use it while I was traveling in public transport in the bus. One day earlier this year I was in the city and my phone ran out of charge, and I actually used the Maps app on the 11-inch to navigate my way around the city, which is honestly something I would never attempt doing on the 12.9-inch, by the way. I just loved the 11-inch in almost every single scenario I used it in, from sitting at a sofa at home to traveling in a car. But I guess the one instance that frustrated me with the 11-inch was whenever I'd come home, I'd put the iPad down on my desk to actually sit down and do some work for a sustained period of time. I really found the smallest screen size on the 11-inch very limiting. As I said, it's extremely portable and light, but you are sacrificing a lot of that screen real estate and space. And that's a sacrifice you have to make, but for me, that's a huge sacrifice. The thing that drew me to the iPad, like right from the start, the first time I saw it, was the fact that the iPad reminded me of a whiteboard. And when I was in high school, I loved whiteboards, especially big whiteboards, because you could write stuff down, you could erase it very quickly, you could draw diagrams, you could do notes, you can do maths, physics. I just loved whiteboards. And it's something I've only realized very recently, like the way I take notes, the way I draw diagrams, the way I plan my videos, the way I do a lot of things with the Apple Pencil and the iPad is a lot like a whiteboard. And I've always wanted the largest canvas I can possibly get. And that's why, personally, I've always been drawn towards the largest screen on the 12.9. In fact, sometimes I wish the screen was even bigger, but I just love space. And if you've seen my channel, you've seen the things I do on my channel, you can tell how much I appreciate a little bit of extra real estate. Coming back to the 11-inch, that isn't even the full story. The thing that really limited it even further for me was whenever I use split view. So whenever I open two apps at the same time, so whether that's some notes and lecture slides or an internet browser and some notes, I personally felt like I was being constricted even further. There was even less space. And that's the sacrifice you have to make when you're going for the ultra portable version of the iPad. And I guess it was only after I borrowed my sister's 11-inch and used it for a sustained period of time that I was able to appreciate the largest screen you get in the 12.9. Just simple things like having room when making diagrams, having full-size apps in split view, just that breathing space is something I'm willing to sacrifice the portability of the 11-inch for. And I think most of my friends who I've told that to agree with that as well. I don't know a single person personally who's got the 12.9-inch and been disappointed with that extra screen space. Oh, and by the way, everything I've said in this comparison between these two sizes is with regards to note-taking. So once you start to move beyond that and you start rigging up the iPad Pro and getting accessories like the Smart Folio keyboard case, the advantages of a larger screen continue to compound. It doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're writing up your report with a word processor on one side and the internet on the other side, or making a presentation, having that extra screen real estate really allows you to push the software to its potential. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty biased. I love the larger screen. And for the way I do things, for my workflow, for the way I like to study and do stuff, the larger screen just meets my needs. So as I said earlier in the video, these are two very distinct sizes and they're for different kinds of people. And so what works for me may not necessarily work for you. And so at the end of the day, if you are deciding between the two, you have to make that call yourself. But just to end the video, I've got a bit of a controversial take. If you're a student and you're on a budget and you're looking at the 11-inch right now after everything I've said in this video and you think it's the perfect device, if I was in your situation as a student on a budget, and I was looking for a note-taking / annotation device to supplement my laptop, I'd honestly go with the iPad Air or even the 10.5-inch iPad. Because honestly, I've tried them out and they run exactly the same software, they're just as capable note-taking tools, and they come in for less than half the price of the iPad Pro. And in my opinion, if I was to go back in school, and if that was offered to me, all that note-taking capability in a more affordable iPad model, to me, that would be a steal. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I can tell from a lot of the messages that I get that a lot of people think they need an iPad Pro to do a lot of the things they see on my channel, when really that isn't the case at all. Because at the end of the day, everything I've showed you on my channel, from my notes, my diagrams, my annotations, I could do them all on the cheapest iPad. Like, that's not gonna limit me. The only reason why I personally use the 12.9 inches because I love the larger screen, and that's a luxury I'm willing to afford. But as I always say on this channel, the iPad it's just merely a tool, and it just amplifies who you are and what you do. If you're the sort of person who's like a really great procrastinator, the iPad's gonna make you an even better procrastinator. I'm talking from experience, by the way. If you're really into like learning in a visual way and sort of designing that process, the iPad is a tool that can help you amplify that process. By the way, I got a video on that coming soon. But yeah, I think that is it for today's video. For those of you who requested this video, I hope I was able to address your concerns and give you my perspective. If you have any questions, as usual, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I appreciate it as always, and I will see you in the next video.